Throughout history, wars have been waged for territory, power, and survival, but some conflicts erupted for reasons so peculiar they seem almost fictitious. The strangest part, some might have been avoided entirely if cooler heads had prevailed. Here is 5 of these odd wars. Counting down, starting at number 5, we have the Pastry War. In 1838, a seemingly trivial incident sparked an international conflict that would go down in history as the Pastry War. A French baker residing in Mexico City alleged that his shop had been ransacked by Mexican troops. When he sought compensation from the Mexican government, his pleas fell on deaf ears. France, seizing this opportunity, used the baker's plight as a pretext for military action. French naval forces descended upon the Mexican coast, unleashing a barrage of cannon fire on strategic ports. The conflict quickly escalated, with both sides suffering casualties and property damage. Mexico, caught off guard by the sudden aggression, found itself embroiled in a war it never anticipated. As the dust settled, Mexico was forced to capitulate, agreeing to pay reparations not just to the baker, but to France as well. What began as a dispute over a single pastry shop had ballooned into a full-scale international crisis, leaving both nations to ponder the true cost of a looted bakery. Number 4. The 14th century Italian War of the Bucket. As the seemingly trivial theft of a wooden bucket in 1325 ignites the flames of war, the conflict between Bologna and Modena reaches a boiling point. You're witnessing the opening act of the War of the Bucket, a clash that exposes deeper underlying tensions between these rival cities. The Modenese soldiers' audacious theft from Bologna opens the floodgates of hostility, with Modena's subsequent refusal to return the bucket marking the official start of the war. Despite being outnumbered, Modena's 7,000 experienced troops utilized strategic maneuvers to outsmart Bologna's disorganized 32,000-strong army at the Battle of Zap. On November 15, 1325, you'll see a decisive victory for with an estimated 2,000 casualties, including 1,500 Bolognese and 500 Modenese troops gone. The stolen bucket becomes a symbol of Modena's triumph as they emerge victorious in this conflict, sparked by a seemingly insignificant object. This war, however, leaves a lasting impact on the region, shifting the balance of power and exposing the fragile nature of peace between rival Italian city-states. Number 3. The Bird Droppings War. In the mid-19th century, an unlikely resource sparked a fierce conflict in South America. Bird droppings, known as guano. This valuable fertilizer, abundant along the Pacific coast, became the center of a territorial dispute between Peru, Bolivia, and Chile. What began as a disagreement over trade rights quickly escalated into a full-scale war. The War of the Pacific, as it came to be known, saw these nations battling for control over the guano-rich coastal regions. Chile, with its superior naval forces, gained the upper hand, seizing key territories from Peru and Bolivia. The conflict raged on for years, reshaping the political landscape of the continent. By the war's end in 1884, Chile had emerged victorious, annexing significant portions of its neighbors' territories. This dramatic redrawing of South America's map was all triggered by the immense value placed on bird droppings. Number 2. The Pig War. In 1859, a seemingly insignificant event sparked an international crisis between the United States and Great Britain. On San Juan Island in the Pacific Northwest, an American farmer discovered a British-owned pig rooting through his potato patch. Frustrated by the damage, he shot the animal, unwittingly igniting a diplomatic firestorm. The British, outraged by the pig's death, demanded compensation from the Americans. The US government, however, refused to pay, asserting their right to protect their citizens' property. tensions escalated rapidly, with both nations deploying military forces to the island. British warships patrolled the waters, while American soldiers fortified their positions on land. For several months, the two powers engaged in a tense standoff, their forces eyeing each other warily across the disputed territory. Fortunately, cooler heads eventually prevailed. Diplomats from both sides negotiated a peaceful resolution, agreeing to joint occupation of the island until border disputes could be settled. In the end, the only casualty of this peculiar conflict was the unfortunate pig that started it all. Number 1. Australia's War Against Birds. In 1932, Australia faced an unusual enemy, a horde of emus, wreaking havoc on farms in Western Australia. The situation escalated to such an extent that the military was called in to deal with the feathered menace. What followed was one of the most peculiar military operations in history. Soldiers armed with machine guns were dispatched to eliminate the troublesome birds. However, the emus proved to be formidable opponents. They displayed an uncanny ability to evade gunfire and outmaneuver the troops, frustrating the military's efforts at every turn. The birds' speed and agility made them nearly impossible targets. As the days passed, it became clear that the emus were winning this unconventional war. The operation was eventually called off, with the birds emerging victorious. The military withdrew, leaving the emus to continue their reign over the farmlands. This bizarre conflict, now known as the Great Emu War, remains a humorous footnote in Australia's history, showcasing nature's resilience against human intervention. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please like, comment, and subscribe. Stay tuned for more.